First, we've got probability. We'll read our situation, we'll do these two together, and I'll let you do the cheese on its own. You have 3 pizzas with 30 slices in all. 10 slices are pepperoni, 15 slices are cheese, 5 slices are sausage. What is the probability of reaching in the box and grabbing? Well, let's think. How many, you're going to get a slice, so how many slices are there? We'll do, for this one, we'll do pepperoni over total slices. And this one we'll do sausage over total sausage. That'll give us the probability. So let's see. Pepperoni, we have 10 slices of pepperoni out of a total of 30. 10 to 30, which reduces to 1/3. So the probability of reaching in randomly and grabbing a slice of pepperoni pizza is 1 out of 3, 1/3. Sausage, there are 5 slices of sausage over 30 total. That is also reducible. Can reduce them by 5, I get 1/6. So the probability of reaching in and grabbing a sausage is 1 in 6, or 1/6. So do the same for cheese. Now for average, and if you forget the steps, they're written right here. You add them all together. 8 plus 2 plus 5 is 15. Divide by the total of numbers. There's 1, 2, 3 numbers. 15 divided by 3 is 5. The average is 5. See how simple that is? All right, so we add them up. Let's see. That's 12. That's 12. Then we have 24, and so this is 30. You can use whatever method works best for you to add them up. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So I'll divide 30 by 5, which gives me 6. So the average of all those numbers is 6. You go ahead and do the others. Let's come down here. There are 2 different types of problems. The first 4 are substitution. You're substituting a value for an expression they've given you. The bottom 4 are equations to solve. And they're 2-step equations, so I definitely want to make sure I do at least 2 of them with you. All right, so number 3, evaluate if m is 1/2. I will rewrite that, substituting 1/2 for m. There's a lot of m's I see. 1/2 times 4 plus 2 times 1/2 minus 1/2. I don't have to distribute because I can do those inside there. The first step that I will do, because I've got to do grouping first, I'll do inside the parentheses. I've got 2 operations, I've got plus and I've got times. So I will do times first. In fact, what I'll do, I'm going to take what's inside the parentheses and just do that by itself. So that gives me 4 plus, so what's 2 times 1/2? Well, 2 over 1 times 1/2 equals 2 over 2, which is 1. That makes 1 whole. So 2 times 1/2 is 1. Four plus 1 is 5. So what's inside my parentheses is 5. So let me 1/2 times 5 minus 1/2. What do I do next? I will do the multiplication. 1/2 times 5. So let me come to my scrap paper and I'll do 1/2 times 5. I converted it to a fraction. That gives me 5/2, which I need to convert to a mixed number to simplify. That's 2.5. There. So this is 2.5. So that gives me 2 1/2 minus 1/2. All right. You can do that, right? If I have 1 2.5 and I take away 1/2, I'm left with 2. That gives me 2. The answer to number 3 is 2. That's the value. Number 4, we'll substitute -5. Remember, since it's a negative integer, we're going to put it in parentheses. So -5 plus 2, I'm going to put -5 again, times -5, plus 3 times -5. All right, so I've got -5 plus, so I've got 2 multiplication. So I'll go ahead, so -5, so positive 2 times -5 is -10, plus 3 times -5. So I'll do that one now. -5 minus 10, positive 3 times -5 is -15. Wow, so now I've just got subtraction. -5 minus 10 is -15 minus 15, and that equals, don't you dare say 0, -30. So you've got a lot of negatives. All right, now let's do the bottom ones together. Like I said, these are 2-step equations. So here's our variable term. The first thing we need to do is get the variable term by itself, which means we have to get rid of the 6. The opposite of +6 is -6. So we will subtract 6 from both sides. That cancels out. So we're left with 32 divided by x equals 10 minus 6 is 4. Okay. What we can do in this situation is, since x is on the bottom, to get rid of that, we'll multiply both sides by x, like this. And when we do, we actually get rid of the x over here. Isn't that funny? So then we're left with 32. I bet you didn't know that x would end up on that side. It's only because the x was on the bottom. 4x. Now that we have the whole variable term by itself, we want to get just the variable by itself. So the opposite of times 4 is divide by 4. So we will divide both sides by 4. 32 divided by 4 is 8. So we're left with 8 is x. Or you can write x equals 8. The last one we'll do is number 8. We've got a division bar again. This is our variable term, and we want to get that by itself first. So we'll focus on getting rid of the 11. Since it's positive, we will subtract both sides by 11. This cancels out. We're left with x divided by 4 equals 27 minus 11 is 16. Okay, now we'll get rid of the fraction, so we'll multiply both sides by 4. This cancels out, so we're left with x equals, then we have 4 times 16. I'm going to come over here, 16 times 4. X equals 64. There. On page 16, we are translating math into English. These are expressions, so they will have no equal signs, and we will use parentheses. Usually if you do something to the sum, or if you do something to the difference, generally you'll use parentheses. Let's start with number 2, which we'll do together. The product of 2 and a number divided by 5. So this right here, the whole thing will be divided by 5. So I'm going to just put, that's going to be on top of the line. The product of 2 and a number. There. You don't need parentheses on this one because the fraction bar is considered grouping. So this is grouped together naturally. Number 3. 7 less than a number squared. Remember when you have that less than, more than, it changes the value, it changes the order. So you're starting with a number squared, and then you're going to find 7 less than that, like that. Okay. Let's go ahead and do number 4 together. The quotient of 4 and e cubed. Let's do this. We're going to find the quotient of 4 and e, and then we're going to cube it. The quotient of 4 and e, 4 divided by e, cubed. So we will cube the whole thing. Anytime you put an exponent with a fraction, you need to put parentheses around it. If I had written it like this, then only the 4 would be cubed. That's why the parentheses, e. Number 8. The quotient of 20 and x increased by 7. The the quotient of 20 and x. That's just like this one. quotient of 20 and x increased by 7. Number 9, the difference of 16 and a number divided by 2. So we're going to divide this whole thing by 2. I'll just put that whole thing on top and divide that whole thing by 2. The difference of 16 and a number. You can choose to put parentheses up here if you want. You don't have to. Remember that fraction bar is a form of grouping. Number 10, 8 fewer than the sum of 14 and a number. 8 fewer than the sum of 14 and a number. This is going to be in parentheses. And then we're going to subtract 8. The sum of 14 and a number fewer 8. Now, on 12, you are going to write the words to go with the mathematical expression. I decided that we could do number 12 together. We've got the sum of 5 and 3, and we're dividing it by n. So how about let's see, the sum of 5 and 3 divided by, do I want to say n or a number? I'll say a number. Divided by a number. Go back and do the others. Not all of them need parentheses. Several do.